Hi guys, Courtney Snell here. Welcome back to my channel. Today is my official 1-year boob anniversary. So it's been 1 year since I got my breast augmentation. I asked you all on Instagram any questions you had in regards to it. So I'm gonna go through all of those, all the gritty details. You're gonna hear it here today. So I got my matcha. Let's do it. Okay, nice and comfy. We're gonna have a little girls chat. So we're gonna go over everything from size, how much I paid, where I got them, as well as the personal details that you guys asked on Instagram. So you did not hold back. We're gonna go through all of it, regrets, if I do anything different, and just my overall experience. I wanna start off with why I got my breast augmentation. So I'd wanted a breast aug probably since high school. I always had smaller tatas, size A cup. I'm gonna put up before pictures for you guys. And I learned to love my boobs. Growing up, I didn't necessarily, but I learned to love all of my body. So I didn't go into the surgery with the notion of feelings of lack or that I needed it to be beautiful. I don't think anybody needs any surgery to be beautiful, but I just wanted larger tatas. So that's why I got them. I will go into kind of how I found my surgeon and how I picked the place that I went to. So I went to Miami. I used to live in Ohio, so I flew into Miami. I had heard of this place several times. It's called CG Cosmetics. And before I booked, I had done research on them, but I didn't realize exactly what kind of clinic that it was. And I also heard of my doctor, who is Dr. Freeman, who is an awesome doctor. He does phenomenal work. Highly recommend him, but I don't necessarily recommend CG Cosmetics. So after I had already booked, I kind of just like took a leap of faith one day and I'm like, I'm gonna book it. After I booked it probably about a month later, I was talking to a girlfriend and she lives in Miami. She's like, girl, don't go there. And I'm like, I already booked it. I'm going there. So that was a little nerve-wracking, but I'm still happy that I went through with it. I love my doctor. I highly recommend him. He also has his own practice. So if you don't want to go to CG Cosmetics, which I'm going to go over my experience, if you don't want to go to CG Cosmetics, you can go to his private practice too. And he does really, really good work. I did shop around in Ohio, so I went to 3 different places to try on implants and talk to doctors and get different opinions on what would be best for me as far as size, under the muscle, over the muscles, all of those things. So I did my research. I talked to tons of girls and I researched online. So I was pretty knowledgeable going in with what I wanted. It took some time for sure. And I also had inspiration pictures. So that's ultimately what I showed the doctors to kind of get an idea of what exactly it would take to get me there, because sizes look so different on each girl because their frame and everything is so different. So I showed inspiration pictures. Some of the pictures that I showed were girls from Instagram. Ashley Flores was one of the main inspirations that I had for my augmentation. And I think they turned out really, really well. So that would be my suggestion, is to get inspiration pictures and your doctor should be able to match them. Ultimately, I decided I wanted to go to Miami because I knew Dr. Freeman was bomb at his work, and it was also much cheaper. So I was looking at anywhere from 10 to 12, anywhere from 9,500 to 12,000 in Ohio, and I paid 4,000 for my implants solely, just the implants, not all the other expenses, going to Miami. So it's definitely a price difference, and there is a reason for that. So we're gonna get to that. With CG Cosmetics, you have to pay everything out of pocket. So all of the fees and everything aren't included with that $4,000. That's solely for the implants and the surgery. So obviously I had to pay for my flight, accommodations, any tests that I needed to get for the augmentation, I paid for them out of pocket. And like my gowns and bras, all of those things, everything was out of pocket. All in all, between my flight, surgery, accommodations, all of those things. I would say I paid anywhere from $5,500 to $6,000 for my implants. Somebody from Instagram said, were you worried you wouldn't like it? I'm worried I wouldn't recognize myself. So there were some apprehensions of whether they're going to turn out how I wanted them to and look how I wanted them to, and if I was just going to like them overall. I'm a very active person and I love working out upper body, so there were some apprehensions about that. But overall, I knew there's some risk for a reward, and it was worth it to me. So I did have those apprehensions, but I ultimately trusted my doctor and that this was what I wanted. So I think another thing that helped me was that I didn't go extremely large. I did a decent size for sure, but I didn't go overly large. A lot of people tell you to go bigger than you think you want. I wouldn't really recommend that. I think by showing your inspiration pictures, the doctor should know what to give you. That's why it's really important to go to a good doctor. I think it is important to note that you should be very, very confident with your doctor and that this is the choice for you, because if you have apprehensions that you don't know if this is what you want, I wouldn't change your body and go through a surgery like that. From the time that I booked my surgery to my actual surgery date was about 2 months. So I didn't have a lot of time to create anxiety or second guess myself or any of that. It was kind of, I wanted to make this decision. They happened to have an opening and I'm like, okay, I'm taking it, I'm doing this. I'm a very spontaneous gal. Quick drink. A few days before my surgery, I flew to Tampa from Ohio because my girlfriend lived there and I was gonna stay with her during a few weeks of my recovery, just to make it easier so I wasn't like traveling right before and after my surgery. So I flew to Tampa and then we just drove to Miami and stayed in an Airbnb. And this is where it gets good. So even leading up to my surgery, it was very hard to get in contact with CG Cosmetics and get the paperwork that I needed and the tests that I needed done. Just getting into their customer service was extremely difficult. And this is where some of the apprehensions came from. It's like, okay, why am I not able to get in contact with you guys and just have a conversation? So that was a bit frustrating. Ultimately, I did get everything done and in. You'll probably, if you do go to CG Cosmetics, you'll have to call a lot. So leading up to it, I didn't love their customer service. Then we got to Miami and I went in for my, like a few more tests and my pre-op. So I did an online pre-op with them, but otherwise I hadn't met my doctor yet. So I went in for a few tests and I remember the first consultation, I sat there for, I think like 3 or 4 hours because there were so many girls in the waiting room. This place is a bit of a pump and dump kind of surgery place. Like a lot of doctors come into this clinic and do work as well as have their own private practice. So it's just flooded with a lot of people, and it's because it's so cheap. Like that's why it's so busy. So a lot of girls go there for BBLs and like full body makeovers. My doctor is really, really good with breast augmentations. So I went in and sat for probably 3 hours for my initial consultation paperwork and a few tests, which took about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to complete. And then I didn't actually meet my doctor until 30 minutes before my surgery, which I did not know this was gonna happen when I booked the surgery. It's kind of just how it laid out. They don't really tell you that. So I go in on my surgery date and I'm sitting there getting my gown. I'm just waiting. He comes in and I show him all of my inspiration pictures and we talk for a little bit, and he knows what he's going to do for me to get me there. And he was very, very confident. Honestly, calmed me down a little bit because going in the last few minutes, I was very nervous. But he calmed me down and was very confident with what he was going to do for me and then left the room, and then they guided me into the surgery room and started playing classical music, and it was very beautiful. It could be very beautiful. It was a little bit dark for me, honestly. Like I'm laying on this surgery table and there's music playing, this classical music playing, and I'm crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm saying goodbye to my boobs. It was just very emotional for me. And at one point I'm crying a little bit and the doctor's like, oh honey, don't cry. And in my head I'm like, girl, you just aired me out in front of everybody. Let me cry in peace. But somebody asked, did they put a breathing tube down your throat? No, they didn't. They just gave me anesthesia and put me under, which is perfectly fine. I've been put under before, so I knew everything was going to be okay. And the surgery took about an hour, all in all, from start to finish. I woke up like about an hour later with implants and not in a ton of pain, but a decent amount of pain. And they were calling Bianca to come get me, and then I'd go home to my Airbnb and they'd give me medicine and all of those different things. So it went super smoothly. And even when I first got my implants, I remember taking off my bra, I think like a day or two later, and they already looked good. So I'm like, okay, we're on the right track here, because they already looked pretty good. I know they can look very scary at first. Mine looked pretty good throughout my entire healing process. So I was thankful for that. But coming home, you're very out of it. You're on drugs and you're still coming off of anesthesia and you're in pain too. So you kind of just want to sleep. You need to sit up though. So we had pillows propped up and Bianca was trying to feed me yogurt, but I didn't really have an appetite because of the pain medicine. So for the next few days, I just tried to drink as much water as possible and eat when I was able to and just sit up. By the end of it, your tailbone is so sore. So just be prepared for that. I ended up ordering this pillow set from Amazon that was a lifesaver. It was a lifesaver. So I highly recommend that. I have a full list in my Amazon store for breast augmentation as far as clothes, bras, socks, pillows, creams, all of that stuff. So if you need anything, definitely go in there. But that pillow set saved my life. So for my actual implants, I ended up getting 2 different sizes. So when I had talked to my doctor before surgery, he knew he was going to put in about 400 cc. But once he got in there, he realized there's a little bit more tissue on one than the other. There's more tissue on my right than my left. So we put 385 in my right and 415 in my left to even out that tissue. And that's pretty common to get 2 different sizes, so it's not uncommon by any means. And they're high profile, silicone, and under the muscle. So I went under the muscle because I wanted the more natural look. I did know and accepted the fact that my lifting as far as chest and some upper body movements wouldn't be the same. I'm still able to lift those things, but I don't have as much strength as before my surgery. So that's very important to note as far as priorities, if you like to lift those things or if that's just a higher priority for you than the actual augmentation or however you want them to look, just note that. But I wanted them to look very natural. Before and after. So before my surgery, I was a 32A, and after my surgery, I don't actually wear regular bras. So I would put myself anywhere from a 32D to a double D, but I would say a small double D. I'd probably put myself at a 32D. Whenever I order lingerie or those kind of things, I always order a size small and they fit perfectly fine. I wore a size small before my surgery and after my surgery. So as far as my top sizing, it hasn't changed. Somebody asked how it was before you could work out and what workouts did you do before you fully healed. So my first 3 days were rough. Let me tell you, they were rough. I was down and out. I was so upset, not having a good time. But by day 4, I turned a corner so quick, and I really attribute this to my diet and supplementation. So I have a really good diet. I have a variety of supplements, and I kept those for the majority throughout my entire, like leading up to my surgery, through my surgery. I know there's certain ones that you're not supposed to take through surgery and because of anesthesia, but pretty much all of the ones that I took, I was able to continue through, including my greens. Those help a lot with constipation because of the medicine and anesthesia and all of that, and hydration in general. Also, sleep helped so much. So just resting, definitely giving your body that rest that it needs. But my recovery went really, really well, and I attribute it to how well I take care of my body. For the first week and a half, 2 weeks, I didn't do anything. I just rested. And then by 2 weeks, I was walking on the treadmill, doing a little bit of incline, those kind of things. And by week 3, I was doing very light, minimal activity workouts, lower body in the gym. I wasn't doing upper body by any means. I didn't do upper body for the first few months, but lower body, I would just use machines, no free weights, anything like that, just machines and very, very light, some body weight stuff too. Nothing that I needed to use stability with my upper body, but movement definitely helped too with recovery and just getting some activity in my body. But whatever feels best for you, definitely just listen to your body. I felt good, so I did those things. After a few months, I started working out upper. About 2.5 months post-op, I started with really light upper body, nothing intense by any means, but I still think this was too quick. If I did it over again, I would wait longer to work out my upper just to give my body rest. I felt really good, so I felt I was able to get back into it, but I just would not recommend this. I didn't have support from CG Cosmetics or my doctor post-op, so I was kind of maneuvering it by myself and just doing research and asking people and going off of how I felt. But even though I felt good, I just don't think I should have started back that quickly. My results, like I said, still turned out really well, but I think I just gave opportunity for them to potentially not turn out good. I'm lucky that they did. I do have this one thing with my right breast where on the inner you really can't tell that it's there by any means, but because I think I started back too quick, it has just like this slight indent on the inside right here, and you can only notice it every now and then, but of course I notice it because I look at my body every single day. But otherwise, they turned out beautifully. If I'm giving any kind of advice, I would just say wait, talk to your doctor. Hopefully you have that support from your doctor to be able to help you through it. I'm really lucky I was able to get connected with a group of women on Instagram. This Instagram account put us in a group chat, and that was so helpful for me. So if you're able to have support like that, that's amazing. Somebody asked, has sensation changed? My nipples will never be the same. Personally, my sensation has not changed whatsoever. I actually had my nipples pierced before my breast aug, and I re-got them after my breast aug, which they didn't change with that either. So I am lucky. I know it's a very small amount that any kind of sensation will change. My incision is below my boob. I know if you go through the nipple, that is more likely, but I didn't have any kind of sensation change anywhere in my boob or my nipple or anything. Somebody asked, did you find it harder with any jib movements after? Yes, I found it different with a few different movements. I knew that this was going to be a thing with getting under the muscle, especially if you get implants in general, you're going to have some effects, but especially with under the muscle, because you're cutting that muscle and putting something under it, there's going to be certain things that are more difficult for you. So any chest movements feel different. It like pulls on the implant and you just feel the muscle and the implant move, and some back like overhead things. So lat pull downs and pull ups feel a little bit different too. So anything that engages the chest, I personally feel the implant and my chest muscles kind of pulling on it. I knew that that was going to be a thing. I wanted the natural look, so I still opted for it. I don't have as much strength in certain lifts because of this. Also laying on them. A little intermission, my camera died and I got a new matcha, but we're back to it. So laying on things also feels different and running feels different. So there are some changes in lifting for me personally after my breast augmentation. Another common question is if I have any regrets and if I'm happy with my decision and my breast augmentation. So I'm very happy with my results. I love, love, love my implants and how they look and feel and everything. Like, I'm so happy with what I got. It's what I wanted for sure. I wouldn't say, I don't like the word regret because I think everything happens for a reason, and everything that has happened for me and my path has been divine. I will eventually get them out because as I've gone through my journey and my spiritual journey, I've just become more conscious, and they don't necessarily align with my path, which is perfectly fine. I'm happy that I've gotten them, and I'm going to keep them for a while, but eventually I know I will get them out. And I'm not upset with myself for getting them. I love myself and I love my body. I love all the decisions that I've made because they've led me to here now. So I'm not shaming myself or anything like that. I still very much enjoy them, and I'm going to enjoy them for a duration. But I just know for my highest self, and as far as like a health conscious perspective, they don't align with my path. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gone through CG. Like I said, and I described in my experience with them, I didn't love the support and like customer service and things like that with them. I loved my doctor. Dr. Freeman is amazing. I loved everything else as far as what I got, how they turned out, the size, just everything. They're chef's kisses. But for my highest self, they will be no more. And that's okay. You know, I'm going to enjoy them while I can. And that leads me into some other questions about breast implant illness, if I've experienced anything with that. And I haven't. So my energy is great. My overall function is great. My cognitive function, clarity, all of those things is beautiful. So I haven't experienced any kind of issues with my implants. So I can't speak to that. I know it's a thing, and I know it's something that I should and am watching out for, but I haven't experienced anything with it. There were some other questions as far as breast reductions and then implants, or about fat transfers. I can't really speak too much to that because I solely had an augmentation. So I would just talk to your doctor about it and what fits best with what you're wanting, the results that you want and what you currently have. So I had really small boobs and I just got an implant. But if you need something else, some kind of reconstructive surgery, definitely talk to your doctors and ask around. I think that was everything with my breast augmentation, all the questions that I got and my experience. If you have any more, feel free to leave them in the comments, or if you want me to talk more on a specific topic, I'm open to doing so. Otherwise, that's it. Okay, goodbye.